Mic check, mic check. Can you guys hear me all right? Awesome. Yeah, Rico, welcome in. Joe, what's up? Craig, hello. Mike, welcome in to everybody else. What's up, everybody? It's been a while since I've done any type of live stream, but we're back at it. So I want to put this out there for those of you that are members in my Discord server. I actually have, so Tuesdays and Thursdays we trade live in the server. I have an appointment coming up on Tuesday this week, so I'm actually going to miss the entire trading session, the entire morning trading session myself. Which means we won't be trading live on Tuesday. So instead, what I've done is I've decided to switch the live trading day to tomorrow. So we will be trading live on Monday now instead of Tuesday. I will put out a watch list for Tuesday, but I think it's going to be, it's still to be determined if I'm going to put out an updated watch list with trigger levels in the morning. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do that. I'll keep you posted on it, though, for sure. All right. There's a lot of good setups coming up for this week. So let's get right into it. Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Today I'm just going to be breaking down my full trading plan for tomorrow, and basically prepping those of you that are in the Discord server for tomorrow. And then I will be taking some charting requests at the end of this stream. I am not a financial advisor. This does not serve as financial advice, and all mentions here are just my opinion. All right, so let's jump right into it. The first one on the watch list for tomorrow is going to be NVIDIA, NVDA. Kind of looks like a bull pennant pattern here that has been broken out of, right? You see the higher volume coming in. This is following the earnings report. So a little bit of indecision here, and then there's your decision being made right there as this pushes up. So it's still underneath 208.75. I'll draw a trend line across the tops of the candles there. We'll move. Oh, by the way, this is the daily chart time frame. I will start my analysis on the daily chart typically. We'll move to the 5-minute time frame so you can see this after hours action. It's still all of this consolidation is still occurring below 209. So since 209 is above 208.75, which is above this previous high, it's my opinion that a break of 209 will definitely send this stock higher. All right, here's the deal. My plan for tomorrow, as of now, is to take NVIDIA long over 209. However, we all know that things change by the morning, right? The market can gap up, the market can gap down, stocks can gap up, and stocks can gap down. The levels that I'm giving you now are subject to change by the morning time, so just make sure that you are keeping up with updating your own trigger levels for these stocks and for these trades in the morning in the event that they do move, right? So if NVIDIA opens up over 209 and let's say it's opening up under 210, well then 210 will become my new trigger level, right? So whatever that pre-market high winds up being for NVIDIA will be my new trigger in the morning. And the reason why is because if I back this up to the max available weekly chart time frame, you can see that this is the all-time highs, right? So there's literally no resistance in the past above where we're currently trading at. So that means that the only resistance that we see on this chart is at 208.75, basically 209. Now, if we open up above that, what's your resistance going to be? It's going to be your pre-market high, right? So that's why that trigger level gets moved up to the pre-market high. So it's a simple watch as of right now. NVIDIA is a long idea over 209. We'll just keep an eye on it. Hopefully this volume stays in the stock and we can catch this for a continuation move to the top side. Pretty simple analysis for something that is trading at the all-time highs. That being said, we're going to move right into the second one on the watch list, which will be Microsoft, MSFT. If you're not familiar with the stock, I'll back this up to the to the max available weekly chart time frame. You can see this is indeed the all-time highs. So we'll go back to the daily chart. Another one that is just a simple watch over either the previous day's high of day, so Friday's high of day, which was basically 306, or whatever the pre-market high winds up being. This kind of shaped a bull pennant pattern into close. So, as long as the market doesn't do anything crazy like gapping down, I wouldn't be surprised to see this gap up tomorrow and open up above 306. But my plan for Microsoft will be to take this long over 306. We had this on the watch list. We actually had Microsoft and NVIDIA on the watch list on Friday. And there were some members that posted, I think, upwards of 230% gains on Microsoft because we were watching this for a break of 300, right, which was a whole number. And it was a very similar setup with NVIDIA. We were watching NVIDIA for a break of 200 being the whole number. So it's funny that both of these were like whole number trades, 200 and 300 respectively, and then now they're both making the watch list again under different conditions, being that they're both all-time high plays instead of the whole number trades. So very similar setups here, but two totally different stocks, right? Both equally opportunistic, both offer good opportunity. I'll just say it that way. Right, so Microsoft is number 2 on the watch list. This will be a long idea as of now over 306. I mean, it should hold up over 300, right? That's going to be the level to watch if it pulls back any sort of way. Maybe I'll maybe give it down, maybe give it like $1 or $2, maybe $2.98, $2.99. But you want to see it basically not reject up here and hold up over these whole numbers if that is to continue. And then the same with NVIDIA as well. Number 3 on the watch list will be ROKU. This was one that we had an eye on for a potential bounce in this area. So I don't use this often, but I will show you. This is the RSI. This is something that I don't use often because as a solo indicator, it's not very reliable. You see right here, like it's telling you that the stock was overbought, but ROKU continued to run. And then over here, it's telling you that the stock is oversold, but ROKU could still potentially fall down and continue to fall down. But it is something to keep an eye on. So the indicator, the RSI indicator, is telling us that ROKU is recently or has been recently oversold. I mean, it's a massive drop from 490 all the way down to about 350. So 350 is a whole number, which can act as a natural point of support or resistance in the market. So any like 50 or 100 level number is a whole number. Something like 400, for example. You see how it pulled back all the way to 400 and then stuttered here a little bit before deciding to come down, and now it's at 350. I'll draw a trend line there, and now it's kind of stuttering a little bit, and we want to see where it goes from here. Given the fact that ROKU has fallen this much, and it's retreated all the way down to a whole number, being 350, and it's pulled back all the way to this blue line, which is the 200 EMA, I think that there is possibly some sort of bounce that could occur here, and there's a chance for us to take this long to the top side. So if we're looking at this as like, something that could be potentially breaking this downtrend, this is what your trend line would roughly look like, and then we'd just be looking for this to put in higher highs. So I'm extremely bullish on ROKU if it can get over 360, but I don't think that we necessarily need to wait on this to get to 360 before we take a trade on it. All right. So what I'm looking for tomorrow is a bounce over 352. Let me move to the 5-minute time frame. Okay, yeah, so it's right at 352, or was right at 352 in the after hours session. So that may be moved. I might move that up to like 353 or 354, depending on where this opens up at. But as of right now, I'm looking for a break over 352 for the run up to the top side. So a few things going on here on ROKU, right? You never base your charting off of just one thing. You always try to want to find as many confirmations as possible. So first thing is that it's curling here, it's bouncing here at the 200 EMA. which is a potential level of support. The second thing is that it's curling or bouncing here at the $350 whole number, which is also a potential level of support. The third thing is that the RSI is recently oversold, telling us that this might be a good area for this to bounce at, regardless of where the EMAs are located or whole numbers are located. And this downward trend line, it's trading right at this downward trend line, and this is loosely drawn too. So a break of this, we might see a little bit of a move to the top side. Now, the reason why I said I like it better over 360 is just because this is where all of these three candles were rejecting. So for this to truly be a break of the downtrend, it needs to put in higher highs, and a break of 360 would give us that. But as far as a trade goes, we don't need to wait on it to get to 360 because there's about a 2.5% profit margin offered from where we're currently trading at up to that level of resistance, and ROKU can make that move in 2 to 3 candles. I've seen it do it before. Okay, so ROKU, long idea over 352. If you're just joining in, welcome in. We're going over my top stock picks for tomorrow, and then I'll be taking some charting requests here in a minute. I've already talked about NVIDIA making my watch list as a long idea over 209, and then Microsoft making my watch list as a long idea over 306. We've just reviewed ROKU, looking for a bounce over 352, and we're moving into the fourth one on my main chart watch list for tomorrow. This is going to be SQ. Similar setup to ROKU, except for it's not recently oversold and it's not downtrending. SQ has been on a healthy uptrend, so there's your uptrend trend line right there. This green dotted line, that's going to be your 50 EMA. So it bounced off the 200 EMA, rejected at the 50, pushed over the 50, and then has since treated it as a support. So you have one bounce there on the 50, 2 bounces there, 3 bounces there, and now a 4th bounce here at the 50 EMA. And we're looking for that 50 to continue to validate as a support. And this bounce is coming in after it's made a new high, a new recent high. All right, so this could be the start of another leg where this runs back up to the top side. So for SQ, since this is just a continuation play off of this bounce, I'll be looking for a move over probably 264 or 265, depending on where this opens. This looks to me like a big, it's kind of sloppy, but like a big all-day formed ascending triangle. I mean, it's not very pretty, but it's roughly there. So again, I wouldn't be surprised to see this gap up a little bit, especially if the market opens up green. I like it primarily just based off like this 5-day, 5-minute time frame here. I like it better over 265, which is why I have an alert set there. You can see the resistance pretty clearly placed there and there. That's why I like it better over 265. But we'll decide that trigger level in the morning. As of right now, maybe 264, 265, I think are the safer entries. But we'll have to see where this opens up at. Okay, that is it for my main chart watch list. NVIDIA, Microsoft, ROKU, SQ. There are a ton of great setups out there for tomorrow, but I don't want to go overboard with sticking too many of those on the watch list because these setups are also really great, right? And you only need 1 or 2 of these A+ setups to make that account grow. So I'm going to talk about some side charts. These will be charts that have potential. While I'm doing that, feel free to post up in the chat section anything that you want me to review. I'm going to even open it up to penny stocks. I'll do penny stocks if you want me to. I prefer not to do penny stocks, but I'll give it a try. The only thing that I ask is that if you do call something out, try to provide some reasoning behind why you're calling it out. Maybe give me a sentence or 2 of why you think the stock has potential, or list a couple of resistance points or support points or whatever it is. It just helps create better conversation and helps others and myself understand why you're calling that stock out in the first place. All right, side charts. Number 1 is AMD. We've been watching AMD for some sort of reversal off of this big move up, and we haven't really gotten it yet. We thought we were getting that move here, where this popped up over 110, right? And then it just totally rejected and went even lower. So at this point, there are a couple of things going on with AMD. Number one is it's still in a downtrend, so it hasn't broken over this trend line, which means it still could come down lower, right? Number two is resistance is now very clearly placed at 106. Old support was at 106. You see all these candles closing above 106. Can become new resistance. So here's your support line, broke 106, tried to push up twice now and got rejected both times at 106. So for that reason, AMD deserves to be on our side chart watch list just in case it breaks over 106. Plus there's the possibility that with NVIDIA running, or if NVIDIA runs, there's a chance that AMD runs as well, being like, you know, a sector sympathy play. I'm not banking on that, but it's a possibility. I want to make sure that we have alerts set at 106 or are watching AMD over 106 for tomorrow. Now, this level, if AMD rejects and comes down lower, that level doesn't really become relevant, right? Because then we would move it down to like maybe 102 or 103 or 104, you know. But just for tomorrow's sake, I'm watching this over 106, or as long as it doesn't put in any new recent lows, we can still watch this over that $106 price point. I do feel that at some point this reverses and makes another run. It's just a matter of when. So we're gonna try not to jump the gun here and not to try to pick the timing and just let the market tell us when that time is going to be. Right, so let the price action tell you when to jump into the stock and when that day is going to be. So for right now, you know, just remain patient. I actually don't even have an alert set here. I thought I did, but there we go. I fixed it. So we've got one set there now. AMD over 106. That'll be the first side chart to watch. Boeing number 2 on the side chart watch list. The RSI surprisingly isn't oversold here yet. But it's close there. It's heading down that way. I like Boeing less and less as I'm seeing this shape up, because it's been, ever since this peak here at like 278, it's just been putting in lower highs and lower lows up until this point here. But now it's trading below that 200 EMA, which means it's not necessarily bullish. Boeing, this makes my side chart watch list just for the fact that it's had like, you know, let's just count these gap downs. 1, 2, 3-ish gap downs there on the way down, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 red candles in a row, and then we've put in our first, then Boeing put in its first green candle, signaling, you know, hey, this might be a point of relief where this decides to make some sort of recovery move back up to the top side. We're gonna watch Boeing over $214 just because that was the previous day, well, close to the previous day's high of a day, right? So 214 was the area of resistance. 214 to 215. I have alerts set at both levels. So if Boeing decides to reverse from here and relieve some of this selling pressure, you know, there's room for this to run up to this gap area around 218, right? So it'll be a simple reversal play, but only a short-term reversal. This doesn't necessarily mean that I'm bullish on Boeing by any means. It just means that there's a potential chance that this can reverse for, you know, maybe a day or two of green before deciding to do whatever it wants to do next. Which at this point looks like it's going to keep coming down, but who knows, right? We're not timing the bottom. We're just making a plan in case this is the bottom. So Boeing over 214/215. Have your alerts set there. Snapchat. Side chart watch. This is a gap area. I indicate my gap areas with big gray shaded boxes like this. It actually was all the way up here, but that gap got partially filled. And so now support is being built or has been built at the $70 price point, which conveniently coincides with this 50 EMA. So what this has done is gapped up on earnings, consolidated for a long time, tried to make a new high. Well, it did make a new high, but didn't sustain the move, came right back down. partially filled the gap, and then started to move sideways again. So what this has given us then, Snapchat has given us a range, and a very clear range at that. We have resistance placed at 73. We've got support placed at 70. So a break below 70, then we've got a gap to fill over here, right? So there's a short potential below the $70 price point. There's also reversal potential above 73 for the move back up. So this to me looks like at some point, I mean, it's going to make a move, right? Which way is it going to go though? We don't know. I'm thinking that because it closed close to 73, closer to the top side of this range where this resistance is at, that it breaks out to the top side and moves that way. So that's what I'm planning on, right? Make sure you have your alert set at 73. Snapchat side chart watch over that price point. There are two more that I have for my side charts before I get into your requests. Number one is SPCE. These are trades that, if you're a short bias trader, you want to be paying attention to these. If you're a long bias trader, maybe not so much, because the stocks look rather weak, but they're also at very important points of support. So SPCE has a gap over here at 23.5. That level is almost right where it's trading at right now. It's barely over. It's $1 over that price point. If SPCE drops any lower, it has a gap to fill down to like $22. So if you're a short bias trader, I mean that's a money move. That would be something that you're looking for, because I think 90% of gaps get filled at some point in the market. So if SPCE is weak and it drops below 23.5, you have a gap to fill down here to 22. There's a play there. I have another alert set at $26. This would tell me that SPCE has confirmed the gap area as a support and wants to move back up to relieve some of this selling pressure that it's had. So there's not necessarily a trade on this tomorrow, but just maybe later on down the road, maybe even sometime this week, I don't know, there might be a trade on it depending on which way it decides to go from here. So I have two alerts set at both of those price points mentioned, and I'll just wait to see what it does from here. The next one is Uber. Same deal, right? Where it's looking weak. It's been selling off, but there's a massive gap over here now from $39. So $39 is the start of the gap area, down to about 36. So where it bounced right here was, 20 cents above 39. So there's potential for this to move up to the top side. I'm not really concerned about, trying to catch Uber on a move back up to the top side, but I would be interested in catching this on a short below 39. If it shoots up a little bit, then gets rejected and flushes below 39, that's an opportunity to short into this gap area. So have your alerts set at or below $39 to catch that play if and when it occurs. All right, so then quick recap on our side charts for tomorrow. Number one is AMD. We're watching that over 106. Number two is Boeing. We're watching that over 214. And then number three is Snapchat. We're watching this one over 73. If you're just joining in, I went over my whole trading plan for tomorrow. If you missed it, don't worry about it. You can watch this. You can rewatch this stream after I end it, right? So it'll be uploaded for 24 hours. You can just go back and press play and watch it from the beginning. But I reviewed NVIDIA, Microsoft, ROKU, and SQ, and then just went over AMD, Boeing, and Snapchat. Uber diss. Yeah, no, that wasn't a diss on Uber. It just, you have to trade what the chart is telling you, and this chart is telling me that Uber is, it's weak. It's weak right now. It's making low after low after new low after low, right? Yeah. Big Stepper said there's a lot of nice setups this week. I totally agree. I definitely agree with you. All right, Michael Q said potential reversals for Spotify and Twitter. Let's look at both. Spotify. Okay, so here's the first thing that I noticed. Spotify is trading below the 200 EMA and below that 50 EMA. This is and this is on the daily chart time frame. So this is telling me that right off the bat, it's in a downtrend. Like overall, it's in a downtrend, right? I mean, I don't even need to look at this price action. I could just see where it's trading in relation to these indicators, and that would tell me that. Then I see where it bounced at, like where is the most recent or relevant levels of support and resistance in relation to where it's currently trading at right now. So we know that whole numbers act as potential support points and resistance points. So 200 makes a logical area, logical point for this to bounce at. And then I have a line drawn right here at 231.38. Let me back this up to the weekly off of these dips over here. All right, so back to the daily chart time frame. If I were to draw a trend line across the tops of these candles all the way down, it would seem that Spotify is reversing. Now, here's my issue with this, is I think this could be a potential reversal for Spotify, right? But my issue is that unlike something that we've already analyzed, like Microsoft or Nvidia, where if this breaks out, there's no resistance overhead, Spotify has a ton of resistance overhead because it's way down here, right? So this might be like, I don't know, a good buy. If you're a long-term investor and you like the stock, this might be like a good price point to buy it at. I mean, don't quote me. That's not financial advice. I'm just saying, from a day trading perspective, there's a lot of resistance points overhead, and I don't know where this is going to get stopped at. Does it get stopped here at this 21 EMA, at $220, or does it get stopped at this $230 level of resistance, or does it get stopped at the 50 EMA? Where does this run to from here before it decides to stop moving to the top side? That's my issue with including something like this as a day trading stock, because there's overhead resistance. There's not a wide open room for this stock to run. It makes it difficult to gauge, what's your price target. Unless you're holding something like this for a longer period of time, you don't really know, right? So yes, I would agree with you, Mike, that this is a potential reversal on spot, but I would just be cautious of, where your profit targets are going to be located overhead. I would say that there's definitely going to be resistance around $230, without a doubt. You might see some resistance here at 220. You might see some resistance here as well at 225. The other trade that you mentioned was Twitter as a potential reversal. Maybe. This reminds me a lot of Boeing, where like you've had this strong sell and it's like just now starting to curl over. We don't know that we're getting that reversal yet. So it would need to put in higher highs for us to confirm that. So we would, look for a break of like 63 point. I'd probably move that up a little bit. 63 or 63.5. Even a daily candle just closing over 63 would be okay. Your 50 EMA overhead would be your next point of resistance. All right, Dut Patel said Netflix has some resistance at 557. I think that you're very close. 560 is what you see. All these shaded boxes that I have here. 560 is going to be your maybe rounded off number from what you're saying. So 557, I mean that sounds like a very specific number to me. Just round it up, right? 560 is close enough to 557 at a stock price like this. That's not your first point of resistance for Netflix, though. Netflix needs to get over and hold 550 before we can even start thinking about a move up to 560. I had this on the watch list last week, and then I had to count it as a loss because we were looking for the move over 550. It was actually like 548, but it never gave us a continuation play after it broke 548, right? Like, so it broke 548 and then came down, and then it broke 548 or 550 and then came down. So there was no conviction or on a follow-through play with Netflix. There might be tomorrow. I mean, I still have alerts set at 550, so there might be a move up from here. And then yeah, I would agree with you that you have resistance in this. Let's just call it an area, right? This 557 to 560 area. That's a very clear point of resistance. Got to get over 550 first, though. By any chance, can I chart PFE? Yeah, I mean this is actually fairly simple to do here. Let me back this up to the max available time frame, right? So this was your previous highs. So we're going to draw a trend line there at $46. The reason why I'm doing that is because old resistance can become new support. There's nothing really here on the daily chart time frame to base support and resistance off of, so we had to go back to the weekly time frame to find these price points. We know that $50 is a whole number, so that's a logical point of or a natural point of support and resistance. So we're going to move into the daily chart time frame now, and look at that, right? It's having some issues here breaking the $50 price point. The previous peak on this run was at $48, so we'll just draw a trend line at 48. And so look at this on the way up. Every time that it made a high, when it pulled back, it never broke below that previous high. So your high was 42, broke over, pulled back, never broke below 42. Then your next high was at 43.75, pushed up, broke that, never pulled back below 43.75. This high was at $46. It broke over, pulled back, never broke below 46. Then your next high was at 48.50, broke over, pulled back, hasn't broken below that price point yet. So just based off this chart, I'm saying that PFE is still in an uptrend. It's below the $50 price point, and it's below the all-time highs, which would be 51.86. So there are a couple of things that need to happen here, or that could happen here, and then this could change the way that you're planning on trading this. Number one is you could patiently wait for this to get over $50. If it pushes up and over 50, then you say, okay, well, now it's confirmed the support at 48.5, confirmed the support at 48.5, broken the resistance at 50. Surely the next level of resistance is going to be your all-time highs. So from 50 up to 51.86, which would be your profit target, you have about a 3.9% move, which is plenty enough to take profits on, right? You want to usually aim for like 2%. You would only need a $1 move. So even a run from 50 to 51 is tradable. The other way that you could trade this is wait for a break of 50 and then say, all right, I want to see it hold 50, then wait for a break of 51.86 and then take it long on the breakout of that. So it's a couple of different ways that you can trade it there. If you're trading it long over the all-time high, you have infinite potential for this to continue to run because there's nothing stopping it overhead. But the issue with that is that you're missing out on that 3.96% profit margin here. The other side is to take it long over 50, but you're saying, I'm assuming it will run at least 2%, right? At least $1, and maybe even all the way up to the all-time high. So you don't have confirmation with a break over 50, but you're able to take advantage of that profit margin that's offered between the $50 price point and the all-time high. So it's up to you, how you want to trade it. I know PFE right now, like if we're looking at just the RSI, you're thinking, man, this thing is oversold, or overbought rather. I mean, it's looking extended. Yes, that's true, but the RSI does not matter, and this is kind of why I don't use the RSI a whole lot. The RSI does not matter in a trend that is parabolic, and it does not matter in a trend that is running on fundamental news. So PFE actually this weekend just had some news come out with the FDA, and that in itself might cause this stock to gap up over the all-time highs. So we're going to have to take a look at this in the morning and see how that news is going to affect, or if it's even going to affect, the price of the stock, which, I mean, I assume that it would. I'm halfway expecting a gap up, but it's just a matter of like, how much is it going to gap up, and is it going to be a buy the rumor, sell the news type of thing, or is it going to be a gap up and go type of trade, or is it even going to move at all, right? So a lot of variables here to consider with PFE. But that's how, if if the fundamental news was all aside, that's how I would chart this from a technical standpoint. And I hope that helped you out. Dut is mentioning MU ranging on the daily. Yes, it is. MU is range trading here on the daily. Support at 70, resistance at 72. I have an alert set at 72 because there's a gap here over 72. So I don't see any trade here until it get, at least from like a long perspective, until it gets over $72 for a potential gap fill. I do like where it's ranging at. Look at that support point back here. That support point is still holding up over here, even though it's below that 200 EMA. But yeah, I would watch out below if 70 breaks on MU. Yeah, off the rip. Yeah, PFE does have news. How long did it take before trading clicked for me? You know, I've answered this question quite a few times. It came whenever I decided to take trading seriously, and you're probably not going to like this answer, but when I started actually journaling my trades, and not just journaling them, but reviewing them, like scrutinizing all of my trades and trying to pull out data points in these trades. You know, like I was looking at like my duration of my winners versus the duration of my losers, and figuring out like on average, I would go back and back test all of the trades that I took, and then I would go back and I figured out on average, I was like, well, if I hold for an extra 5 minutes, would I be more profitable or would I lose money on these trades? And I found out, well, hey, look, I'm selling too early. I need to hold on to these trades longer. So I consciously made it a decision to hold on to my trades for a longer period of time. And that's the type of steps that I was taking towards bettering myself, right? So those habits that I saw that I was doing not so well, I was consciously making it a point to change those and do better. And then the habits that I was doing well, like I found out that I was winning most of my long trades but losing most of my short trades. So I focused on trading just long setups, right? Just trading like breakout setups. By journaling my trades and then actually reviewing them, that's when trading started to shift for me, because I was able to figure out, you know, who am I as a trader? Like, where do I even excel? Am I a swing trader or am I a day trader? I don't know. How would you know that if you're not looking at your past trades and figuring out where are you the most profitable? And then just cut out the stuff that doesn't make you profitable. This doesn't have to be so extensive either. You can do that with you only need like 30 to 50 trades, and then just literally spend a weekend and go put in the time, go review all of your trades, and write down as much as possible about each and every trade. You know, even down to like how you were feeling in the trade, and also why you took the trade in the first place. What was the setup that was there that told you to take the trade? Because if you don't have one, if you go to journal your trade and you're like, I don't even see a setup here, then write that in there. I didn't see a setup, not sure why I took the trade, must have been bored, lost money. Then make it a note to not be bored and lose money, just be bored and get on, TikTok or something. Yeah, journal your trades. All right, what else you got for me? CSCO at the all-time highs. All right, Mike, let's go and review that. CSCO looks like it's at the all-time highs here on the daily chart time frame, right? But we need to back this up to the weekly chart. If you back this up to the weekly, you're like, wait a minute, it's still above this peak over here where this rising wedge was formed. So this is still in the all-time highs, right? Well, you got to back it up even further. Make sure you change that time interval to max available. Our CSCO is not anywhere near the all-time highs. 82 is the all-time high for CSCO. It's got a long way to go. It's still trading below $60. So make sure that you're reviewing if you're not familiar with setups or stocks and you're just kind of adding them to your watch list, take the time to go back through and look at their max available time frame. Like look at all of the price action history for the stock. That's going to make a difference. It makes a big difference. If you're trading this thinking that this is the all-time high and this is actually the all-time high, that's a big mistake there. I do agree with you though that CSCO maybe deserves some attention here. A lot of volume here on the day after earnings. Big bullish engulfing candlestick off of the 50 EMA. It pushed up, made a new high following that. So it is on an uptrend right now, and because there isn't a lot of price action that is relevant to where it's trading at right now, all that you would be looking for is a continuation play over the most recent high. So like a long idea over 58.5. But understand that $60 is a level of potential resistance based off of the weekly chart time frame that I just showed you. How close to expiration do I go for calls? I trade the same week expiration. I trade all the way up until on Fridays. Sometimes I'll trade the same day expiration. As a day trader, I'm not really too concerned about expiration unless the stock is super volatile already. Something like ROKU, that can make or break your position. So what I'll do is, like, if I'm trading the same day expiration, and let's say my normal capital, my average amount of capital that I'm using for a trade is $5,000. I'm gonna lower that capital because I don't need to put up as much if the stock is if the premium of the contract is moving, extra fast. So I can probably cut that in half, maybe trade with like $2,000 or $2,500 and still make a sizable return, 30, 40, 50% return, which is good, just as good as what I would make on that stock with a 20% return at the full amount of capital that I typically would use. So if I'm trading the same day expiration, sometimes I will, if the stock is volatile, sometimes I will size down in the amount of capital that I use. And that all goes into like risk management, CRM. So somebody said CRM broke over the $250 resistance. Let's pull it up. Yep, with higher volume. Yep, looking for a continuation above 257 with earnings next week. Yeah, earnings is this week, right? I'm sure that's what you meant. This week, next week. Yeah, you could look for a continuation play on this. I think that, me personally, I would maybe just wait until after earnings and see what it decides to do. But yeah, you're right. 250 was a big level of resistance. It finally is up and over that price point. It did make a new high. So a break over, 257, maybe 258 looks good. I actually like this formation that it shaped up right here too, because it didn't go parabolic all day long, which doesn't make the stock feel overextended. It made a new high. It pulled back. It held a level, just flat into close, which is good, and then moved up a little bit after hours. So break of 258, easy continuation play. But yeah, just be careful. Earnings is right around the corner. Yeah, Matt, I agree. Roku is up there. I wouldn't say that Roku's my number one watch, but it is up there with a couple of others. There's just multiple reasons why Roku could potentially bounce where it's trading at right now, and Roku is one of those stocks that's known to make larger moves whenever it gets some volume behind it. So I'm really excited for that, especially if we get the expected move that we're kind of anticipating. All right, let's do two more here, and we'll call it an afternoon. Texmar said Home Depot on the daily is filling a gap and has strong movement back up. Let's see. Home Depot on the daily. Yeah, so this gap has actually already been filled. Even on this wick, it got filled. So wicks count as filling the gap as well, right? So here's your gap area that he's talking about. This wick filled the gap. So and then it came back down, right? So it was rejected at the gap, and then bam, broke over and is now pushing up to 330. Home Depot to me is one of those stocks that I would rather swing trade than day trade. If I were to day trade this, I'd probably wait for a break of 340. That's just me personally, right? And for the same reason why I said I wouldn't day trade Spotify. Given where it's at now, there's just so much resistance overhead that, you know, it could stop at any given point. It could stop at 331, it could stop at 333, it could stop at 335. It'll probably definitely get stopped at 340, but then above 340, that's when it'll get interesting, right? Then you've got a $5, $6 run here to the highs, and then beyond that, that's when it really gets interesting. Yeah, I would just be mindful. A lot of little resistance points overhead. All right, here we go. Somebody said SNOW, S-N-O-W, is to either fill the gap or test it as a resistance. What was this? I missed that news. What was the catalyst that dropped that down? Certainly it had to be, I didn't see what that news was for SNOW. Hey Juan, it's all right. If you missed the live stream, it'll be uploaded right after I end the stream, and you can go back and rewatch it from the beginning. Anyways, whatever. I don't know what this news was or what this catalyst was that caused SNOW to drop down, but it got bought back up fairly quickly, right? So that's what that long wick right there is telling you. Now, yes, the price dropped all the way down to here, but buyers stepped in, bought it all the way back up. So now it does have a gap over up to 275 and over 269. So you're right. Yeah, I mean, either way from here, either it's going to fill this gap or push up into the gap and fill it or come down. My guess is that this had to be something maybe related to earnings. Given that earnings is so close, maybe they announced earnings early. I don't know. I haven't looked at it yet, so I don't know what that news was. But yeah, I just set an alert. This is fairly simple, right? Set an alert at 269, and if it breaks over, you potentially have a gap fill here. I would be careful with earnings coming up, though, if this wasn't their earnings, or if this didn't drop because of earnings already. Sometimes they announce early. Cool. All right, everybody. I'm going to call it an afternoon here. Thank you all for your time. If I didn't get to your question, just shoot me a DM. I'll answer you in a DM, either on Instagram or Discord, whatever it is. Hit me up, and I'll get to you there. All right. Let's trade safe and trade smart tomorrow. Make sure that you're updating these trigger levels that I gave you tonight according to the market moves in the morning. And just a reminder to everybody in my Discord server, we're trading live tomorrow instead of Tuesday. So prepare and plan accordingly. All right, take care. Have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow.